Welcome to San Carlos de Bariloche, better known as just Bariloche because it's a mouthful. And this is my first full day in the town. I thought, where better to start off on a little walk around than the main town square, because this looks amazing. It looks like it's been built by Disney. And this was built in the 1940s to give it a European Alpine look, and it's working well. And then down there is the lake. So this is an official milestone for me. It is day number 75 of my trip around South America, and I am going to have a little walk around as much as I can. This place is famous for its treks in the mountains, but unfortunately I've got a dental appointment at 5 o'clock, which means I can't get out and about as much as I wanted to. So why has this got an alpine look? So Argentina in the late 19th century, early 20th century had a lot of immigration from Europe, and obviously I've been around more southern Patagonia where there's a lot of Welsh, but around here it attracted Germans, Austrians and Swiss, and obviously they were used to mountain areas. There's a lot of rabbits around and Easter eggs. That is because it's Easter, but it looks like there's a big parade going on, being built, scaffolding all around. This is beautiful. So all I'm going to do is have a little wander around through the town centre, head down to the lake. I haven't really done that much research, to be honest. Last night I was eating an apple and I heard a crack in my tooth, bit of sharp pain, and I've been wanting to go to a dentist for the last few weeks. I have been putting it off because of costs of smaller places, but this morning I went down to a dental centre that was next door to the hostel, explained what my problem was. Eating an apple, that's meant to be healthy, but not for me, it's not. So they've booked me in for an appointment. So at the moment my tooth is not the best, and I was meant to be moving out my hostel today, but I just couldn't be bothered. So as you look around, there is the Alpine look. This place is famous for its chocolate shops, and there's a lot of them. And this is the main tourist part, and I would say this is probably the busiest place I've been to in the last few weeks. So what I have learned from looking online is this is a town that is built for tourism. The 1930s, 1940s, hotels started springing up, and they were built for the upper class, people who had a bit of money. Nowadays, it's anybody, people like me. Look at all them eggs. Like I said, there's chocolate shops everywhere. Wow. They look quite cute. Right, let's head down to the lake. And this is it. This is Lake Nahuel Huapi. and it is about 50 miles long, 6 miles width, and it goes down to about 460 meters. This thing is massive, and it even claims to have its own Loch Ness Monster in here. It's called the Nahuelito, and it was first sighted in the early 1900s, and then by 1922 there was a newspaper report to say there was a monster in here. It's got, just like Nessie, it's got a long neck, a couple of bumps, and there has been a few blurry photographs that people do believe there's a monster in there, but it's big enough to hide one, so maybe there is. But they've done scientific research, they've sent things down to find it. It's hiding, although there is no food chain in the lake. So does it exist? But it is beautiful. I mean, get a bit closer, you see the mountains in the background. You can see why people come down here to do the treks. And just up there you can just see a little bit of snow on the mountains. Beautiful. And today is actually quite warm. So much so I've got a t-shirt, shorts and flip-flops on, which is getting a few funny looks off the locals who are all dressed up for the winter. But it's not cold, so I'm happy. So I've come up from the lake back into the centre, and I am fascinated by the fact there are so many chocolate shops, chocolate cafes. And that's because in the late 1800s, early 1900s, with all these Swiss, German, Austrian immigrants coming up, they brought with them chocolate making traditions, and it carried on over here. But more importantly, when you think about Argentina towards the north, it's a bit warm. This climate is perfect for chocolate. It doesn't melt. I think I'm coming out to the edge of the tourist bit now. But there was one bloke that did kick off the chocolate craziness around here, and that was after World War II. An Italian immigrant called Aldo Feniglio set up one of the first proper chocolate shops here, and that's when it went to a few Europeans making chocolate to this town is going to be well known for chocolate. Yeah, this is where it starts to get a bit quieter. I've now come up another block up, and if I'm honest, I did come out to do some filming, to come and have a walk around, just to get my mind off my tooth, which is aching now, and it's not working. So I'm going to go back to the hostel. This was one of the shorter videos I've done, but you've got a good idea of what the town looks like with the lake. But I need to go and rest. I've got about another 2 hours before my dental appointment, and I'm just going to chill. So if you've enjoyed this very short video, you know, all you've got to do is press that like button, even if it's out of sympathy, and I will be back out once I've rested. Once I've got this sorted out, then I'll do a proper tour and show you everything. But until the next time, feel sorry for me. Bye bye for now.